Oh, hello there. I'm going to read the news. But first, I'm going to mute this bullshit up here. Okay, so first we have my Substack right here. If you haven't subscribed to it, you most certainly can head over there. Link is in the description and subscribe there. Uh, get that. Get my opinions delivered directly to your inbox if that's something that you're interested in. But first, let's read the news. So we got from thehill.com, Georgia judge drops two more Trump charges in election case. So we have a Georgia judge has again dropped multiple charges in former President Trump's 2020 election interference case on Thursday. Two of which Trump himself faced, marking yet another legal win for the 2024 GOP nominee. Which I find it interesting that this was originally printed on the 12th of September, and it is nearly a little over a month since then. But anyway, Judge Scott McAfee granted a motion for some of Trump's co-defendants to quash three counts in the sprawling racketeer indictment brought by Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, finding they lie beyond this state's jurisdiction. No shit. State can't prosecute a federal matter. Imagine that. The ruling also hands the former president a sizable victory as he faced two of the charges in question. President Trump and his legal team in Georgia have prevailed once again, said Steve Setto, Trump's lead defense attorney in the case. The former president and a slew of his allies are accused of attempting to subvert Georgia's election results to keep Trump in the White House after he lost in 2020. Trump has pleaded not guilty. Trump now faces 8 total counts after originally being charged with 13. Damn, nearly halfway there. Prosecution is currently on hold for Trump and many of his co-defendants as they appeal their efforts to kick Willis off the case over her once romantic relationship with the Trump prosecutor, who has since stepped aside. Which, if you have not been following that case, holy shit, it is a fun one. McAfee's ruling on Thursday responded to a dismissal motion filed by two of the former president's co-defendants, pro-Trump lawyer John Eastman and Georgia Senator Sean Still, whose prosecutions are not frozen as they are not part of the appeal. The judge tossed 3 counts related to the filing of false electoral college documents claiming Trump won Georgia in 2020. McAfee found the allegations were subject to federal criminal laws and the state had no jurisdiction. Punishment for filing certain documents would enable a state to constrict the scope of materials assessed by a federal court and impair the administration of justice in that tribunal. The judge, meanwhile, declined Trump's co-defendants' request to drop additional counts, including racketeering charge at the center of the indictment, which I find interesting that legal counsel is being charged as part of a racketeering organization. Because I was under the impression that legal counsel was a right afforded to any and all American citizens for a fair trial and due process. But whatever. None of that matters anymore anyway. Not these days anyway. McAfee did, however, preview that the Supreme Court's decision carving out broad presidential immunity will likely affect allegations underpinning the central charge. However, unlike the many challenges raised by the defendants, the impact of presidential immunity has not been fully briefed or argued by the parties, and this order does not reach that issue. Interesting. The Hill has reached out to Fulton County District Attorney's Office for comment. Marks the second time that a judge has tossed some of the counts in this case. McAfee previously dismissed 6 charges in the sweeping racketeering indictment, including 3 against Trump, after ruling state prosecutors did not allege sufficient detail regarding the nature of the violations. Each of those dismissed charges pertain to the defendants having allegedly solicited public officers to violate their oaths. Trump's previously dismissed charges include one stemming from a phone call with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, where Trump urged him to quote-unquote find 11,780 votes, and another accusing him of attempting to get Georgia House Speaker David Ralston to violate his oath of office by unlawfully appointing presidential electors through special session of the legislature. And if you go and actually listen to the whole phone call, it's not quite that in the sense that it's being presented in the court case, but I digress. What I find interesting is Raskin. I like how there's all this bullshit about Donald Trump not accepting the 2020 election, which he did. I mean, he ceded power to Joe Biden. Joe Biden is currently president. I would say that that's accepting the results. You're allowed to say that it was contested, especially if every court case contesting the matter has been dismissed on grounds of dismissed on procedural grounds and not because of the merits of the case. What I find very interesting, though, is that Mr. Raskin, this son of a bitch, just grab Fox News right quick. Raskin starts short of committing to certify a Trump win. Jamie Raskin, Democrat of Maryland. Raskin stopped short of committing to certify a potential 24 win for former President Trump. Ranking member Raskin is the ultimate hypocrite, Comer said. He talks a big game about saving democracy, yet actively undermines it by sowing seeds of doubt in America's free and fair election when it benefits him to do so. Comer slammed Raskin as a two-time election denier, saying Raskin suggested the 2000 election was illegitimate and didn't certify election results when Trump won the White House in 2016. Now ranking member Raskin is signaling he'd do the same if Trump wins again in November. Raskin doesn't care at all about democracy. He only cares about putting a Democrat in the White House, whatever the cost. And I find it very interesting that we have all this bullshit about the elections when a sitting member of the Democratic Party, I believe he is a congressional representative, is outright refusing to accept the results of the election before it's even happened. And that doesn't sound very democratic to me. It doesn't sound very mature, reasonable, or becoming of somebody holding that office, but seeing that it's in his track record, I suppose that's the way things will go with that asshole. Anyway, on to the next one. From the Washington Post, we have teenager taken into custody after 5 killed in Washington state shooting. 2 adults and 3 school-age children were found dead inside a home east of Seattle. Another teenager was injured, the King County Sheriff's Office said. 5 people were found dead inside a home Monday morning in Falls City, Washington, after an incident involving gunfire, officials said. 2 adults and 3 school-aged children were found dead, and a 15-year-old suspect was taken into custody after deputies responded to 911 calls about a disturbance with gunfire at a home, according to the King County Sheriff's Office. Another teenager who had been injured was taken to a hospital after receiving first aid from a neighbor. Mike Mellis, a spokesperson for the King County Sheriff's Office, said he could not provide further information about the juvenile victims, but said it was quote-unquote fair to say they were young teenagers. There have been 24 mass killings with guns so far this year in the United States, according to tracking by the Washington Post, which uses the term quote-unquote mass killing to describe events in which 4 or more people have died. Other words, a normal weekend in Chicago, not including the perpetrators. During a news conference, Mellis on Monday described the shooting as a quote-unquote family incident and clearly a domestic violence incident that involves not only a young man who is now in significant trouble, no shit, it involves firearms, a young man and firearms. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was under the impression that children or minors were not allowed to purchase or own or possess firearms. And let's see, I'm also pretty sure that murder is illegal. Let me just double check this. Hold up really quick. Washington State gun laws. Ah, yes, there we go. Gun laws in Washington State require the sale, possession, and use of firearms and ammunition. Let's see. Protects an individual's right to bear arms. Preempts localities from regulating firearms in any manner more restrictive than state law, except as explicitly authorized by the state legislature. So let's see. Let's go to just the Wikipedia article here. Just really quick, so we can have a little more context. So, since July 1st, 1994, machine guns, short-barreled shotguns, and any parts thereof are prohibited. Suppressors and short-barreled rifles may be possessed in accordance with federal law. Pistols transferred through an FFL dealer must be registered with the DOL, Washington State. Let's see. Oh, here we go. This is the relevant part. There are places where the possession or storage of firearms or ammunition is prohibited or otherwise restricted. Statutory law prohibits firearms in places such as areas of buildings used for court proceedings, certain areas of public mental health facilities, establishments which serve alcohol and are off limits to persons under 21 years of age, restricted access areas of commercial airports, correctional facilities, outdoor festivals, blah, child care centers, horse races, pretty much anywhere where you wouldn't really need one anyway because there's plenty of armed security. However, what is very interesting is, let's see, you got red flag laws in Washington State. Red flag laws didn't seem to stop this one. And several new gun control provisions approved by Washington State voters in November of 2018, including increased background checks, firearm safety training, a waiting period, and a 21-year-old minimum age before buying semi-automatic rifles. New age limitations on who may purchase or possess certain firearms, including prohibiting some firearms purchases by persons under the age of 21 and require secured firearm storage and or trigger locks, and criminalizing certain firearm storage if it results in unauthorized use. Some local counties have adopted Second Amendment sanctuary resolutions in opposition. Good for them. I don't think King County is one of those. Let's see. National Concealed Carry Reciprocity. Partial registration, no licenses required, constitutional right to bear arms, no shit. Oh wow, look! Assault weapons laws! Background checks! Red flag laws! Let me see, one other question I have for the old internet. Is murder illegal in Washington State? Wow, yes! Murder is in fact illegal in the state of Washington. Imagine that. And to all the assholes who I have argued with about whether or not laws are punitive or are preventative, yet another in the tally for punitive, not preventative. There is no law that has ever been written that has prevented an illegal act from occurring. There was no significant confrontation with the young man that was taken into custody. What had happened, it was done. In an emailed statement, the sheriff's office said it appeared the victims were all members of the same family, but how they were related was still being investigated. The 15-year-old in custody will make his first court appearance later this week, possibly Tuesday. Officials did not say how many firearms were used or how they were obtained. Probably not legally. The 5 deaths were perpetrated by firearm. No, they were perpetrated by asshole who decided to fucking kill somebody. How about that? Let's be honest with this shit. They were enabled, perhaps, by firearm, but perpetrated. The firearm did not magically sprout legs, pull its own trigger, and ejaculate a freedom seed into these individuals. That was an intentional act by a 15-year-old minor who was otherwise prohibited from purchasing, probably prohibited from owning, probably illegally obtained the firearm used in this. Although, I mean, who knows? I'm open to being wrong. The teenager in custody will probably be booked under some type of murder charge initially. No shit. Keep in mind, there is a large difference between what you're booked under, what you're charged under, and what you're ultimately convicted or acquitted of. As this remains an active investigation, it is still unknown at this point what led to the incident. Probably some kind of disagreement. Perhaps some deep-held animus towards the victims by the perpetrator. I don't think it was the gun itself that got up and did that. But, again, I'm open to being wrong. Anyway, on to the next one. German police say pizza order number 40 came with a side of cocaine. Berlin, Germany. The German police busted a pizzeria in the western city of Dusseldorf that also delivered a side order of cocaine when customers asked for item number 40 on the menu. It was one of their best-selling pizzas, criminal director Michael Graf von Moltke told reporters in Dusseldorf. I just like saying that, Dusseldorf. Dusseldorf. He said police was first tipped off by suspicious food inspectors in March. When drug squad officers began observing the restaurant, they soon discovered why pizza number 40 was so popular. Moltke told reporters on Monday, German news agency DPA reported. When police buzzed the apartment of pizzeria manager, the 36-year-old allegedly threw a bag of drugs out the window, which fell right into the arms of police officers, Dusseldorf police say. The bounty included 1.6 kilos, 3.5 pounds for Americans in the audience, which should be everybody, of cocaine, 400 grams of cannabis, and 268,000 euro in cash. Police said the restaurant manager, who was released from detention a few days after, soon reopened his business and started selling pizza number 40 with a side of cocaine right away. That gave investigators an opportunity to look into the supply chain, and after several weeks, some 150 officers busted an entire drug wing in Western Germany, arrested 3 suspects, including the 22-year-old head of the drug operation. Damn, that's young. And raided homes and businesses of another 12 suspects. During the raids, they came across 2 cannabis plantations in nearby Mönchengladbach and Solingen with 360 plants, respectively. They also found cutting and stabbing weapons, as those are called knives, as well as cash and expensive watches. The pizzeria manager was arrested when he tried to flee abroad. Not flee with abroad. And remains in custody. None of the suspects' names were released in line with German privacy rules. Police did not say how much the pizzeria charged for the special order. Does it have the name of the pizzeria? I wonder. Somebody could Google that and probably find out. I bet you they got it on their online menu. It would be funny. Anyway, I included that one because that one was a fun one. Fucking pizza with a side of cocaine. Just drink caffeine. Almost the same thing, but legal. On to the next one. Iran complains to UN nuclear watchdog about Israeli threats to its atomic sites, spokesman says. In other news, Iran is upset that stupid games have stupid prizes. Iran has written to the UN nuclear watchdog to complain about Israeli threats to strike its atomic energy sites, its foreign ministry spokesman said at a weekly news conference on Monday. Israel has vowed to attack Iran in retaliation for a volley of Iranian missiles on October 1st, stirring widespread speculation that Iranian nuclear sites could be among the targets. Well, maybe you should have fucking thought about that before you launched the goddamn missiles, huh? Fucking stupid game, stupid prizes, motherfuckers. Threats to attack nuclear sites are against UN resolutions, so what? And are condemned, so what? We have sent a letter, strongly worded letter, about it to the UN nuclear watchdog. Ministry spokesman Ismail Baghai told televised news conference. Last week, Bibi Netanyahu's office said Israel would listen to key ally the United States regarding a response to Iran's missile attack, but would decide its own actions according to its own national interest. His statement was attached to a Washington Post article which said Netanyahu had told President Dementia Man that Israel would strike Iranian military targets, not nuclear or oil sites. Well, that's nice of them. Baghai, however the fuck you pronounce that mess of consonants, responding to a question about the possibility of Iran changing its official nuclear doctrine, said, "Weapons of mass destruction have no place in our policy." Well, that's so civilized of them. Better than us. Tehran would decide on how and when to respond to any Israeli attack. Iran has repeatedly denied Western accusations that it has covertly sought to develop nuclear bombs in violation of its commitment to the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Separately, Consonant Man said Foreign Minister Abbas Arak... What? Why is there a Q with... Where's the U? Would travel to Bahrain and Kuwait on Monday as part of Iranian efforts to reduce regional tensions. Iran fired scores of missiles at Iran in retaliation for Israeli strikes on its allies Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Again, Israel plays stupid games with stupid prizes. I mean, I don't know. This whole fucking thing has World War III written all over it. I seem to recall the main campaign of Battlefield 4, I think. No, that was China. Battlefield 3. Who's ready for Operation Firestorm? Fuck yeah! Second Iranian missile attack on Israel this year. Israel responded to the first missile volley in April with an airstrike on an air defense site in central Iran. Not a very good air defense site if it was taken out by an airstrike. Just saying. And isn't Iran mostly mountains too? They have the high ground and yet Anakin still managed to win? Like, y'all are an actual country and Israel's tiny. Doesn't really have any resources other than what it imports. And has been surrounded by basically their existential enemies for their entire existence. Step it up, Iran. I got money riding on you. U.S. charges IRGC official others in Iran-backed plot to assassinate a journalist. In other words, Iran hates journalists, but still not enough. The U.S. has issued fresh charges over the attempted Tehran plot to kidnap and assassinate Iranian-American journalist in New York, indicting an Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps official among others in the case. U.S. prosecutors have previously charged other suspects in the case, including one man in 2022 and two more in January 2023. Tuesday's filing did not name the alleged victim, but one of the previously charged suspects in the case was arrested for having a rifle outside the Brooklyn home of journalist and activist Masih Alinejad. If she's a journalist. Also, shall not be infringed, motherfuckers. The IRGC official, Ruloa Baz... Why do you have so many consonants in your name, sir? Was a brigadier general who previously served as chief of the Corps' counterintelligence department, according to an indictment unsealed in federal court in Brooklyn. Baz Gandhi was previously sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury Department. Like that's going to do anything. Prosecutors said that his internet activity, as well as three other individuals whose names were unsealed on Tuesday, pointed to their involvement in multiple assassination plots. Sign up here. No thanks. Sorry, not going to happen, Reuters. Anyway, that's about that. A lot of Iran stuff in the news. Starting to look a lot like World War III. As for the giant ball of plasma we are orbiting because we're trapped in its gravity well, here are our current sunspots. Most have left the Earth-facing disk, as you can see. However, there are some fresh boys getting ready to rotate right on in. And the sun is just kind of taking a little break after all those X-class and M-class flares that have been firing off the last month or so. So no auroras in the near future, but you know, that can change. Headless comets, blah blah blah. If you've seen the comet, it was a comet. It had a tail, it did things. There's that fucking date. I don't like that fucking date. It's hot in the thermosphere, cold in the thermosphere. Sun's got a radio. There's our current auroral oval. Here's our... Wow, that's a lot of fireballs. Coronal holes, looks like not a whole lot. Look at that, though. The plasma filaments everywhere. It's looking angry. Kind of like that. That looks like it would be a cool logo. Noctilucent clouds. Yep, we have relatively minor chances for X-class. I mean, non-zero chances for X-class flares in the next 24 to 48 hours. But moderate chances for M-class flares in the next 24 to 48 hours. Geomagnetic storms, about a 30% chance in mid-latitudes for active, but nothing major or severe. High latitudes looking at potentially severe in the next 24 hours. What else? Looks like that's about it. Pop on over to Le Substack right quick. And, already read y'all the Wow, What a Month. Probably read that one. I love the AI artwork. I think I've read that one. I'm currently working on a sequel for this one. Also, if you've noticed, the AI gave him just a arm leg. He's got an arm leg. It's kind of weird. Funny fucking story. That's the oldest one I've written. But let's be a little bit on the artsy-fartsy side and read some poems. Or a poem. I don't know. What do we think? Environmentalism or existentialism? Environmentalism, existentialism. Environmentalism, and environmentalism. Nah. We'll do the existentialism. It's a sonnet. Oblivion, dark temptress, my divine. Spectral fingers, so soft their light caress. Seductive her embrace like flowing wine. Dissolving now from form I do divest. Still sinking deeper as the void calls out. Her empty eyes extinguishing my soul. Surrendering to her my faith devout. A truth once fractured now reborn as whole. Complete at last eternal peace now won. Unburdened here upon Nirvana's shore. It fades away and like a dream it's gone. A reminder as the wheel turns once more. The truth, all bound to cyclic will condemned. True God above is balance, none transcend. Anyway, that's that for that. It has been a pleasure. It has been fun. It has been real. Been something, I guess, resembling real fun. Be good, be safe. Stay strapped or get clapped. And most importantly, be you. And on that note, I am